Good morning or good afternoon everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can probably tell, I am outside in my workshop and I have lumber in the back of my truck, which means that just as I promised my viewers last week, I am just getting ready to build something. So let me get everything unloaded and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Before I get into this build, I need to take a moment out to offer a word of apology to my viewers. I have been under a severe time crunch since I started this project, so I haven't been editing any videos or even looking at the footage that I've recorded. And when I did sit down in my office to start editing, I realized that many of the clips were not usable. So there will be some gaps in the coverage and also a few segments which I feel I need to use anyway for completeness, even though there is a certain amount of camera shake. My hope is that my viewers will appreciate what I've put out there rather than condemn me for the lack of technical quality in certain areas. So without further ado, let's just head back out into the workshop and get on with the build. Well, I figured it was time to check in with my viewers. Yesterday I wanted to get all 4 of the main base frames built. I didn't quite get that achieved. Here's the last one, still on the floor. This is the one that supports the lowest level of track. So the road bed is underneath the frame instead of on top of it, because otherwise it'll be too low to get underneath to get inside the helix for maintenance. Anyway, I should get that finished this morning and I will check in with you again then and show you the whole thing. Well, here it is with the 4 base sections done. I guess you could call this the foundation for the helix. I've also got the road bed in for the low level reversing loop. And as you can see, the framing around the outside that supports the helix is above the lowest level track instead of below it. That's because I wanted to keep maximum possible clearance for getting under the benchwork to access the inside of the helix. And with the lowest track elevation at this point being only 20 inches off the floor, it's still going to be a tight squeeze even with a creeper. So I didn't want to lose any more than I had to. The next step is to put in the road bed for the 2 staging yard ladders. One of them curves around this L-shaped piece in the frame now, and the other one starts here and heads through the middle of the frame and then curves around to the left where the clamp is and becomes the base of the helix. But I think I want to get the bus wires in before I put those tops on. And the wire arrived this afternoon. Here it is in this corner, 17 500 foot rolls. That should be enough to keep me going for a while. Anyway, I've had enough for today. I'm going to head inside and do something else for the rest of the afternoon. And I will check in with you again tomorrow. Don't go away. Well, here is the status of the layout halfway through day 3. But I've just been in for lunch and come back out a little bit more refreshed than I was half an hour ago. It was hotter than hell out here and humid too. This morning I started putting the tops on. Originally my intention was to install all the bus wires before I put the tops on. And although the wire arrived yesterday, I am still waiting for connectors and terminal blocks, and I don't know how long those are going to be. So rather than wait for them or do half a job, I'm just going to get on with the layout. There's not much of it that is difficult to reach. This bit under here is kind of low, but I have the creeper, and the very end of this section will also be wide road bed, but everywhere else will be easy to reach afterwards anyway, so that's not a big deal. I put the road bed in for the return loop this morning. That's the black stripe you see. And I've got most of the fences in to stop derailed trains falling off to the floor. What I'm using for that is 3/16 door skin plywood. It's a lot nicer to work with than masonite, and it bends easily. And the blue tape that you see is a trick I learned when I worked in a joinery many years ago. Masking tape often makes the best clamp in certain situations. Anyway, the next thing to do is to get the sub-road bed in for the end of the other staging yard. The one I did this morning, that is part of the east staging yard, and this will be the end of west staging. And both of them head like 20 feet or so that way, and then there's a turn back curve and they join up. So I'm just going to turn the camera off now and get back to work. I'll check in with you again later. Well, I spent this morning getting the ramp up towards the bottom of the helix, around that corner, and about the first half lap of the helix. I cut as much as I could from a full sheet of plywood. It's worth doing that at the bottom of a helix. It's a lot easier to get the levels right that way. And then I have a lot of offcuts which I will use up, because the second and third laps can be cut out of smaller pieces. Before I go any further, I need to check the grade one more time. I think it's right, but it's well to check it before I get too far in. I want to be certain. This morning I laid the track on the bottom level. You can see it running around here. At the moment, this first 3/4 circle is just resting flat on the frame. I will lift it into place once I am absolutely certain that the grade leading up to it is correct. Well, that's all for this week. I'm going to break it here, because that was the end of the first week's effort. I don't recall what day of the week it was I started, but the next clip was labelled Monday morning. So it seems like a good place to break it off. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you again next week. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.